Well, hello and welcome. In this video, we'll be looking at visiting the UK and 30 essential things to know before you go. The UK is not just England. The UK, or to give its full title, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, consists of 4 countries: England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. Although British, they all have their unique identity with their culture, language, and this leads us on to, importantly, number 2. Number 2, don't refer to everyone as English. It may not be appreciated outside England, especially in Wales and Scotland. We may all speak English, but we're not all English. A safer bet may be to refer to somebody as British, or just ask, or avoid the subject completely. Number 3, don't expect to understand all the accents. It's not a simple case as Northern Irish, Scottish, Welsh or English. The accents between north and south, between one city and another city, even within those cities, north of the river, south of the river, where we live in Wales, you can tell somebody's accent from like 3 miles up the road. So don't expect everyone's going to speak like the Queen, and if you do have trouble understanding the accents, just ask them to repeat it. You will pick it up the longer you're here, so good luck. Number 4, the UK is so much more than London. We love London and it's one of our favourite cities in the world. But the same way New York doesn't represent the rest of the US, London is very different to the rest of the UK. So when you're here, rent a car, get on the train and get out and explore the countryside. You'll find some beautiful countryside, some interesting towns, so get out there and explore. Number 5, we use the metric system, well, most of the time. In the shops, you'll find things sold in litres and millilitres, grams and kilograms. But in the pubs, you'll still find beer sold in pints. And on the roads, we still use miles and miles per hour. So even though the petrol's sold in litres, on the roads, all the numbers you'll see will refer to miles or miles per hour. Number 6, the coins are actually worth something. Obviously we use the pound in the UK, and the change you get, a lot of it has a decent value. The main ones to watch out for are the bimetallic 12-sided pound coin and the larger round version, the £2 coin. So don't think it's all worthless junk. The coins do have a value. Okay. Number 7, pub culture. When you go to a British pub, don't expect table service. Your food and drink has to be ordered at the bar. And no offence to some of the barmen around here, their skills may be limited, so don't expect a fancy cocktail or anything like that. Obviously you get that in the more trendy pubs, but basically it's beer, spirits and wine. As the pub landlord said, a pint for the fella and a glass of white wine and a fruit-based drink for the lady. So that's what you're going to get. Number 8, you can get good food in the UK. There's a reputation that still lingers that British food is bad. That was in the 70s and 80s maybe, but now the food, especially in the cities, is really good. You've got a wide variety, even from the simple takeaway up to the fine dining. You've got cuisine from all around the world. Yeah, the food's really good, basically. If you are going to try some of the classics, as well as the fish and chips, we would recommend trying, obviously, the full English breakfast, get that grease in the morning, and also a Sunday roast. So try those two. But apart from that, our recommendation, you must try a decent Indian restaurant. Yeah, we have to have an Indian at least once a week. Number 9, don't complain in restaurants. If you want to blend in with the British, don't complain. Even if you've had the worst meal ever, when the waiter comes over, you just turn and when he asks, how was your meal, sir? You just say, it was fine, thanks. And then he walks away and then you just turn to your friends and moan. But don't complain. We'd rather die than complain. Number 10, tipping isn't a major thing. In a restaurant, we normally tip about 10%. And in some restaurants, especially in the cities or a chain, they may include a 12% service charge, but generally it's about 10%. We don't tip in pubs or cafes, really. You can if you've had a really good meal in a cafe for lunch, but generally we don't tip in cafes. It's up to you really, but it's about 10% if you choose to. And also if you've had bad service and you don't want to tip, don't expect the waiter to be chasing you down the road for a tip, okay? So if you tip, you're happy with the service, 10%. If you don't, fair enough. That's tipping. Number 11, the British still love tea. So when you walk down the high street, you'll see all the coffee shops. There's Costa Coffee, or the latest hipster bearded one, or the omnipresent Starbucks. But generally the British do love tea, and that's the drink they have in the house, they make themselves. Unfortunately, tea's been spoilt by the coffee shops. Tea's simple. Tea bag, milk sugar if you take it, and hot boiling water from a kettle. Unfortunately, because of the rise of the coffee shops, they all use those coffee machines they've paid £10,000 for, and the water there is never hot enough for a good cup of tea. And also they charge more for it as well. So tea, proper tea, boiling water from a kettle, tea bag, milk and sugar if you need it, and that's it. Simple, tasty, none of this herbal nonsense, proper tea, okay? Go to a greasy spoon, a good calf for one of those, okay? A cup of tea in a greasy spoon, that's the one you want. Number 12, you must try Marmite. Dark brown, salty, yeasty, sticky, a spread that divides the nation. You try a thin scraping on your toast and you decide, see if you like it. I love it myself, I love Marmite. So anyway, if you're wondering, it is vegetarian as well, so give it a go. Number 13, many place names are pronounced nothing like they're spelt. For example, Leicester, Gloucester, Bournemouth. So it may be worth trying to work out or asking somebody for help if you don't know how to pronounce a word. And we won't even go into some of the Welsh names. Have a look at this one. That is a genuine place name. So it looks like somebody's fallen asleep on the keyboard, but it is a place name. Number 14, don't be too loud in public. We do have our fair share of loudmouths in the UK, but when you're out in a restaurant or in a bar, don't be too loud. No one wants to hear your conversation, and basically indoor voices please, so don't be too loud in public. Number 15, queuing is a national pastime. We British love a good queue, especially in the post office. We can stand for hours, but don't push in and don't let anybody cut in with you, okay? If you do, you may get a muttering from behind you, or worse than that, a loud excuse me. So don't push in. Number 16, UK power sockets are a masterclass in design. So this is a UK plug, 3-pin plug. Some people think they're a bit too big and bulky, but the design features and the safety features are really good. And also, simply, they don't fall out the wall, and the cable points down, so you're not going to kick it out the wall if you walk past it. Just remember, when you do plug something into a wall socket, there will be a switch next to it to turn it on and off. So, UK power sockets and plugs. Number 17, the price you see is the price you pay. When you go into a shop and you see something for £1, when you get to the till, there's no tax added, or the tax, the VAT, which is actually 20%, is included in the price you see. So you're not going to have all this fiddling around with change and all any of that nonsense. If it's £1, you pay £1. So simply, the price you see is the price you pay. Number 18, going back to the electrics, don't bother looking for a power socket in the bathroom. There won't be one. UK bathrooms don't have power sockets except a shaver plug. So if you go in looking for somewhere to plug in your hairdryer, you won't find one. Also, light switches in the bathroom. The light switches, you won't find a light switch on the wall of a bathroom. It'll either be outside, or if it's inside, it'll be a cord pull switch. So no sockets or light switches in the bathroom. Number 19, we do love to talk about the weather. I don't know why, because one day it'll be cloudy, overcast and wet, and tomorrow will probably be cloudy, overcast and wet. But we love to talk about it. I think it may be because we're British and it's a safe subject. We don't want to talk about something too personal, so it's a neutral, safe subject to talk about. But we do love to talk about the weather. Number 20, everything stops for snow. As mentioned, we love to talk about the weather, but our weather isn't that extreme. In the winter, it's not that cold. It may be wet and overcast, but it's never that cold, and we don't get extremes of temperature. And in the summer, it's never that warm. But when we do get an extreme, especially snow, we're not geared up for it. So the lightest dusting of snow, everything stops. So just be prepared for that. If you're coming in winter and we have like an icing sugar layer of snow, all the buses and trains will be cancelled. Number 21, we love sarcasm and a good put down. We don't like people getting too carried away with themselves and too big-headed. Like in school, if anybody gets too big for their boots, there's normally a cutting remark to keep them in the place. So don't be surprised if you get the odd sarcastic comment. Generally though, we're quite polite to strangers and keep the sarcasm and the rudeness to our close friends. So another thing we don't like, whooping. So if something's going on, keep the whooping to a minimum as well. So that's the British way. Number 22, don't ask for the bathroom unless you want a bath. Basically, a bathroom is a room for a bath. Toilet isn't a dirty word in the UK. So bathroom for a bath, toilet to use the toilet, okay? Number 23, red telephone boxes are now just for photo ops. You'll only find these really in London and other tourist cities like Bath, and they're there for photo opportunities and Instagrammers. Like, no one uses telephone boxes anymore. I remember when I was a kid, they always had a faint smell of urine, and when I was living in London in the 80s, they were just full of cards from prostitutes. So, but the ones you find now are full of tourists taking photographs. Get the photograph, and there'll probably be no phone in the phone box, so red telephone boxes. 24, using a car horn is the last resort. We're not really a beeping nation, like in some cities in Europe or maybe in New York, you hear beep, beep, beep all the time. You will hear it in the busier cities like London, but when somebody beeps you, it's normally the final thing. It means they want to get out and kill you. So we don't really beep that often. You generally hear it around towns when people beep to say goodbye to somebody. So that's it. So, but beeping, when you hear somebody beeps you, it's the last resort before they jump out the car and kill you. Number 25, the speed limit on the motorway is 70 miles an hour. This may be a surprise to most drivers. You're driving on the left, on the inside, you're doing 70 miles an hour down the inside, and every other car on the road is flying past you. But the speed limit, you're doing it at 70 miles an hour. So if you want to take a risk and go a bit faster, you can, but the speed limit is 70. Number 26, most cars are manual stick shift. So this is quite important if you intend to rent a car and are not used to driving a manual transmission. Unless you specify to the rental company, you'll probably be given a manual car. Combined with driving on the left-hand side of the road and using your left hand to change gear, it may be a bit too much for some people. So remember, if you want to rent a car and want an automatic, make sure you specify an automatic car before you pick it up, okay? We've got videos on driving, have a look at those. Look, I'll put them in the links below, driving for the first time in the UK. Number 27, don't expect to understand cricket. It can last for 5 days. The scoring system, you probably won't understand what's going on. It stops for tea. Even after 5 days, it can end in a draw. So that's cricket. And like a lot of sports that were invented in England, it was exported around the world, and most of those countries can play it far better than we can. So that's cricket. Number 28. Don't refer to football as soccer. If you really want to stand out as a tourist, use the S word. A lot of people are quite passionate about their football clubs. So like religion and politics, it may be a subject best avoided. So football, round ball, don't mention the S word. 29, the wonderful word bollocks. This has a number of meanings. Simply speaking, that's a load of bollocks, that was bad or rubbish, and that was a dog's bollocks, that was exceptionally good. So bollocks, rubbish, dog's bollocks, good. Number 30, the bottom floor is the ground floor, not the first floor. So when you first get to a UK hotel, if you're on the first floor, you're up one level, get in the lift, elevator, go up one level, up the stairs, okay? Number 1 is the first floor up. The lobby floor, or the bottom, is the ground floor. Remember that when you're coming down. A lot of people press 1 and not G or lobby, okay? Bottom is ground. So that was our 30 essential things to know before you come to the UK. No doubt we've missed a few out, but I'm sure you'll have a good time when you come. If we had to highlight one tip, it's to get out of London and explore the rest of the countryside. So I hope you have a good trip and enjoy. Anyway, bye.